Welcome, everybody. My name is Benson. I sincerely invite you to come along for a deeper exploration of the many ebbs and flows of our complicated lives together. When I was planning my first ever podcast less than a month ago, the 2026 FIFA World Cup was on and in full swing. It was a historic tournament hosted across three North American countries, with 7 matches played right here in my home turf of Vancouver. It had been, therefore, a strong temptation to kickstart my new channel with an essay centered on the FIFA World Cup. I mean, what could possibly go wrong to chase after the hottest of our headlines? But life, as demonstrated throughout human history, needs not conform to our plans or schedules. Recently, two older people I know passed away. Neither was a member of my extended family, yet both play monumental roles at two pivotal, albeit completely different chapters of my life. The first was teacher Tang Zhenmin 老师, my junior high school homeroom and English teacher at Fengxi Guozhong in the then Kaohsiung County of Taiwan. Though Tang 老师 was undoubtedly strict during her time as an educator, I had always respected her for her integrity and for having her students' best interests in mind. The second person was Marcus von Dorme, a multi-talented professor emeritus and a fierce, lifelong fighter for Flemish autonomy. I first met Marcus back in 2015 at a local church in the medieval city like Mechelen, Flanders, when I was still fresh to Belgium. Marcus provided much practical assistance to help me ease into the European way of life. He could even speak some Mandarin, having lived in Dalian, China, where he taught computer sciences to local students. Their passings made me stop and think. There are lessons to be learned from the in vogue global sports event that is the FIFA World Cup, most certainly. But at this particular juncture in time, I would like to speak about the one topic that humanity, across every race, gender, political spectrum, and age group, does its absolute best to avoid. Let us talk about death. A few years ago, I officially crossed the threshold of 40, or as some people might say, I entered the midlife crisis zone. It's an interesting age. Physically, you realize the biological systems you took completely for granted are starting to gently suggest their own expiration dates. I have to hold books further and further away to read the fine print. I've had teeth cracked and extracted. My left knee and hip protest if I go out for a longer walk than usual or attempt to play basketball. Basketball, a game I used to play every single day as a teenager without a second thought. Every creak in my joints whispers, Benson, Benson, you're getting older. When I turned 30, I felt the heavy weight of the Chinese sage Confucius, 孔子, who famously wrote of his own life milestones. 孔子wrote, 30而立, at 30, I established myself. This resonant proclamation from Confucius himself had haunted me at several critical turning points throughout my 30s. Today, I look back 15 years, and the most I can see are shadows of once promising careers cut short, or faintest visions of having my own family darkened quickly. In other words, in the delicate balance of life's scale, I have not achieved much. But Confucius also wrote, 40而不惑. At 40, I had no more doubts. I was unperplexed. Well, I'm in my mid-40s now, and I have more questions than ever. I have doubts about relationships, doubts about the definition of success, namely health, wealth, and happiness, that prominent technological and religious influencers of our time promote every day, and doubts about where the world is heading toward in the foreseeable future. I'm the exact, messy opposite of unperplexed. And those doubts only deepened when the departures began. Allow me to dial the clock back to 2022. In May, my longtime friend and spiritual mentor in Vancouver, Pastor Zhang Jilin 牧师, passed away after a multi-year battle with lung cancer. In September, Queen Elizabeth II, then the head of state of the United Kingdom and other Commonwealth realms, died at the age of 96, marking the end of a tremendous and arguably more hopeful chapter in our contemporary world history. And then, just 3 days before Christmas in 2022, I woke up in a quiet suburb south of Antwerp, Belgium, to a dozen of missed calls on my phone. My father had collapsed while having lunch at a China Steel Corporation, or CSC in short, staff canteen in Kaohsiung, Taiwan. China Steel was a place where my father worked for 40 years, where he met my mother, and where he retired. Within 24 hours, at the age of 68, shockingly young by modern standards, he was gone. I didn't even have time to process the phone calls before he was a memory. Fast forward to late 2025. My late father's younger brother, my paternal uncle, passed away suddenly too. He was 69. They both died of similar cardiovascular failures involving the aorta. It's the exact same hereditary ailment that took their mother, my grandmother, decades ago when I was only 11. A mother and her 2 sons, all claimed by the same silent internal weakness at 71, 69, and 68. More recently in the news, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, who was widely known for his ardent neoconservative views, passed away from that very same condition, aortic dissection. When I was a teenager living in Surrey, British Columbia in the 1990s, Pastor Keith Fullerton, the long-serving senior pastor of Green Timbers Covenant Church, used to proclaim from the pulpit, "There are 2 things no one can escape in this life: taxes and death." I used to believe that axiom implicitly. Neither taxes nor death are pleasant things, but at least they are indifferent to a person's background or social standing. Fair, basically. But as I grow older and older, I'm starting to doubt at least the taxes part. We see it every day. The wealthier an individual or family becomes, the easier it is for them to avoid paying their fair share. Even now, the same class of people spending millions to dodge taxes are now spending billions trying to evade death itself through biotechnology and longevity research. They construct high-end bunkers for themselves, but tell everyone else tomorrow will be better. Do you remember Jesus' piercing question from so long ago? For what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul? The elite class of our time wants to gain the world without a doubt, but somehow they also want to keep their souls in this particular instance. This reminds me of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, who unified China and then immediately sent expeditions to find the Changsheng Bu Lao Yao, the elixir of eternal youth in Western terms. As King Solomon so accurately assessed in the book of Ecclesiastes, there is nothing new under the sun. All was a vanity and a striving after wind. Qin Shi Huang failed to achieve immortality in the 3rd century BC. Will we now succeed in our 21st century AD? With AI? Perhaps? To the one who always hears. To the one who truly sees. As a footnote, Pastor Keith himself died of an unexpected heart attack back in 2010. He was my English tutor and the pastor who baptized me into the family of Christ, and I miss him very much. Thank you for spending time with me today. If you have enjoyed this type of thought-provoking content, please consider sharing this program with anyone who might also benefit from listening. I cannot wait to continue the story with you in the next installment.